Okay, so olives are a very typical Mediterranean crop. They have been grown in the Mediterranean basin for many millennia. So olives are actually hardy to most varieties to about -10. And there are actually some olive varieties that are hardy to about -15. So, however, olives need fairly long, warm summers and mild winters to succeed. So I'm currently growing about 12 different varieties of olives here. And I have olives growing against the side of the west wall of our house. I have olives in this open-sided tunnel. I have olives on the back fence. And olives are wind pollinated. And so you want to plant different varieties relatively near each other to allow the wind to transfer the pollen across different varieties. Olives bloom in June, and the ripe olives are picked, depending on the variety, anywhere from December to March. And that's typical. If you're in Spain or Italy or Greece or Turkey, olives are harvested in the middle of the winter, very late fall or winter. So the weak link actually with olives here is not the tree, which I've already told you is hardy to at least -10. It's the fruit. The fruit may not be ripe until well into the winter. So, however, olive fruit I've discovered is pretty tough. It's much hardier than citrus. Olive fruit seems to be able to handle at least -4, if not close to -5 Celsius before you get irreparable damage to the fruit. Okay, so if you look at this olive tree right here, you can see that it's loaded. And again, this is only August. These are not getting picked until January, February, or March. The fruit will be many times bigger than it is right now. In other words, it'll be huge. Yeah, so the olives here are mostly of Tuscan or Crimean origin. Okay, so what we have here are jujubes, otherwise known as Chinese dates. This plant is native to the Middle East through to China. If you go into Asian markets, either here in Victoria or Vancouver, you'll often see these marketed as red dates. The date name comes from the fruit itself, which is brown and wrinkled like a regular date. However, the tree, as you can see, is not a palm tree like a date tree. But they do need a good, long, warm summer, so you want to plant these in either against a wall or some location that generates a few extra heat units. The trees are hardy to -20, so winter is not an issue here. You can see they just keep on pumping out the flowers and the fruit. You can see the tiny little flowers there, and you can see the fruits as they're moving along. But they're very tasty fruit. Like a date, they do have a stone in the middle. However, the variety that I have here grown in isolation seems to set fruit parthenocarpically and does not have a seed in the middle, so you can just eat the whole fruit. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and the fruit always ends up jumbo size. I mean, look at it already.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. Is it a fuyu?
It's a fuyu type. It's one called Izu, I-Z-U.
Oh yeah,
but it is a fuyu type.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this one's in here. Does it have another? Like, is it
No,
self-fertile?
the fuyu types are self-fertile.
Okay.
Yeah. So here we have a feijoa, otherwise known as pineapple guava. So you can see the flowers right here. They're beautiful flowers. So when they're native Brazil, they're bird pollinated. So the petals are thick and fleshy, just like so. Delicious. They have a cinnamon cotton candy taste, and the birds find them highly attractive. So tropical birds do the job in Brazil. Now, we don't have any tropical birds to do the job here. I have to be the tropical bird and hand pollinate them. So here's the fruit forming here. You can see there's lots of it there. So the fruit on this is not ripe until November, and the fruit is about that size. So it goes from that to this by November. And most of the swelling actually happens in September, October. You'd think it would happen in the summer, but it doesn't. It happens in the fall. So it needs no winter protection other than being against a wall. But actually, you could grow this in the open too. However, if you grow it in the open, you're unlikely to ripen the fruit. It needs the additional heat of the south or west wall to ripen the fruit. And the fruit is absolutely delicious. It has small seeds like kiwi seeds. Kind of has a citrusy pineapple flavor. It's really nice. Okay, so beside me here is an avocado tree. This is one of the Mexican varieties, which are super hardy avocados that grow up in the plateau of central Mexico. So with avocados, there are actually three races. There's a West Indian race, there's a Guatemalan race, and there's a Mexican race. And as you might expect, the West Indies and Guatemalan races are not hardy at all. However, the Mexican race, as I said, grows up on the high plateau, or at least mid-elevation plateau, where guess what? Frost and snow occasionally occur. And so it's actually pretty hardy. The issue is actually getting them to set fruit. So I've had limited success with this so far. I've had some avocados, but not a lot. A friend of mine on Salt Spring Island, who's gotten her avocados from me, and we converse back and forth on a regular basis, is actually beating me to the punch. I think last year she got about 30 avocados. So she's definitely on an upward motion in terms of fruit production. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. I am working on a number of different possibilities in terms of improving our fruit production, mainly with pollinators. Okay, let's talk about pawpaws. Pawpaws are close relations to cherimoya, sweetsop, soursop, atamoya, which are all tasty tropical fruits. However, the pawpaw is native to the Carolinian forest of eastern North America. So places like Kentucky and Tennessee and Alabama and Mississippi, this is the homeland of pawpaws. So the trees themselves are actually hardy to about -20, but they need a long, hot summer to ripen the fruit. So your best bet with pawpaws is to have varieties that ripen early so that you have a chance in our cool summer climate of ripening them properly. So you can see some pawpaws sitting here. These will not be ripe until well into October or even early November. So when you cut them open, they're yellow flesh, soft, melting, almost like the same texture as a ripe mango, the same color as a ripe mango. And the taste even has slight mango, peach, banana overtones to it. Extremely tasty fruit. They produce well for us. They have no pest, not even deer. Deer do not eat pawpaws. So I think our enterprising raccoon might be interested in them, but other than that, they're pretty much pest-free. You need at least 2 different varieties for cross-pollination. They're pollinated principally by flesh flies. So when you see a carcass crawling with maggots, the adults of those, the bottle flies, flesh flies, are what pollinates these. Yeah, so the flowering is just about over, but there's some fruit here, you can see. Okay, so what we have here are pomegranates, and you can see one forming here. The blossoms are just about done, but here's what the pomegranate blossoms look like. They're just pretty much finished now. So with pomegranates, there's both male and female flowers, or to be more correct, male and hermaphroditic, in other words, perfect flowers. Here's one of the perfect flowers that was pollinated, and you can see the fruit is forming here. Pomegranates do not ripen until relatively late, in other words, into November. You do need a good warm site. So a south or a west wall would be ideal for them. And they're hardy to -10, and they're deciduous. So we have a number of varieties here that are working for us for pomegranate production. What we have here is Chilean Guava. This fruit, as the name would suggest, is native to Chile in South America, which has a climate, if you go far enough south in Chile, almost the same as Victoria. So the fruit on this is blueberry size, pinkish in color, ripens in October. is very flavorful and is actually said to be Queen Victoria's favorite fruit and was specially grown for her in Cornwall. Anyways, you can see there's still a few flowers on here, so you can see the small Chilean guava flowers. And there's some of the fruit forming. You can see it forming here, but remember it's not ripe until October. And it'll be the size of a good sized blueberry, but pinkish in color. Hardy to about -6, and absolutely prolific here. So this is loquat. Loquat is related to pears and quince, although you would never know it because it has these large evergreen leaves. It is subtropical, native to China. To dwarf it, it's grafted on quince, because remember I said it was related to pears and quince. So all the pears on this property are dwarfed by grafting them on quince. This loquat is also dwarfed by grafting it on quince. And so it is a broadleaf evergreen, as you can see, and it blooms in the middle of the winter. The fruit, this is a dried up one because the fruit on this was ripe almost 2 months ago now. So there's one that was left. It's actually quite tasty still. I usually have somewhere between 1 and 3 seeds. Flesh is like this, very juicy and refreshing. Nice sweet flavor. Very nice. Intense sugar. It's hard to describe the flavor, sort of slightly apricotish, but very nice.